Welcome, everyone. We're going to give it a couple more minutes for folks to join. If you could please share in the chat what school or organization you are a part of, and on a scale of 1 to 5, how familiar you are with Sunbucks. 1 would be, this is my first time hearing about it, and 5, I'm a Sunbucks expert. Thank you so much for putting those answers in the chat. If you haven't already, so feel free to put it in there. Love seeing that there's folks from all over across Arizona. So we can go ahead and get started. We'll go to the next slide. Well, just want to welcome everyone. Thank you all for joining this webinar today. My name is David Robinson. I'm the Community Programs Manager at Arizona Food Bank Network. We are thrilled to have our national partner, No Kid Hungry, put on this Sunbucks webinar for Arizona school staff and community partners. With more voices and resources available to support this program, we can help ensure families are not just informed, but are also more comfortable accessing these benefits. Schools and community partners are trusted voices for families, and we greatly appreciate your help with sharing Sunbucks information out there. With these additional tools from No Kid Hungry and the resources from Arizona state agencies, we hope getting the word out and answering questions from families will be even easier for you all this year. With that, I will kick it off to the No Kid Hungry team. Thank you.
Hey everyone, my name is Chloe Eberhardt. I work with No Kid Hungry in our Center for Best Practices, and I'm really glad to be here with you all today. First, I just want to thank everyone for taking time out of your schedules. I know end of the school year is busy. I'm feeling it in my family. So I'm really grateful to you all for being here. I know how much you care about kids in Arizona and helping make sure they have a great summer. So our goals today for this webinar are we want to help you, all those in attendance in your broader network who you're going to talk to about this afterwards, understand how Sunbucks will work in Arizona this summer, provide super easy ways for you to help get the word out in your community, and then ensure that the right people at your schools have the right information about the program. As David said, you all are trusted people to your community, trusted people to the families who and children who will benefit from this program. So you are those people that I think people will turn to for information. And we'll definitely have time for question and answer as well. So those are our big picture goals today. And then this is what we're going to cover. So we're going to talk some specifics about how Sunbucks will work in Arizona, including what's particularly new to this summer compared to last year, for those that have had some exposure to the program before. And then what does this mean for you, especially if you're in a special provision school setting? We're going to talk through that a little bit more. We're going to highlight some questions you may get from families so that you feel equipped to answer those questions. We'll talk really briefly on how Sunbucks and summer meals and free summer meals in Arizona work together. And then we're going to walk through some communication materials that the Arizona Food Bank Network and ourselves have put together, and highlight also some resources from ADE as well. And then finally, we'll have some time for Q&A. And I just wanted to share in terms of Q&A, please feel free to put questions in the chat. There's also the Q&A box. You can put things there. And we'll definitely be able to answer basic questions and eligibility pertaining to information that we're covering today in this webinar. More complicated eligibility questions or questions related to data submission by schools definitely can be elevated to ADE, and we can help facilitate that. I know there's some lovely folks here in attendance from ADE, but we ourselves wouldn't be able to answer some of those questions. So I just wanted to get those parameters out there from the get-go. But feel free to put the questions in and they'll get highlighted for folks. So let's dive in. Sunbucks in Arizona. So we're just going to do a really quick high level, because I know there's such a range. Folks said 1, folks said 5 for their exposure to the program. Many said 3 or in the middle. So last year, Sunbucks helped over 700,000 children in Arizona get the healthy food they usually enjoy at school during the summer. That's amazing. And we're so excited that it's back and here to support Arizona kids this summer as well. So Sunbucks is for school-age children in households that are at or under 185% of the federal poverty guidelines. Families will receive 120 per school-age child for groceries during the summer. And this year, the benefit is delivered on a new 2025 Sunbucks card if you're new to the program, or uploaded onto an existing Arizona EBT card if that's what you have, such as if you're already participating in SNAP or TANF, or if you participated in the program last year, that was the card that was used last year, and that's where benefits will be this year. And then where possible, children in the same household will get their benefits loaded onto a single card. So that's the basics of the program and how this works. It's really here to help families afford groceries in the summer. And we want to dive into a little bit more on eligibility. You can understand it in the context of your children and students that you're interacting with. So I'm going into a little bit more detail there. I think the big takeaway that I want everyone to have is that most eligible families and children who are eligible for this program will be automatically enrolled, which means they don't have to do anything to receive this program, and cards will come to them in the mail, or benefits will be loaded onto a card they already have. But some families with children who are eligible will need to apply in order to receive the program, but they're just equally as eligible, just have to receive it in a slightly different way. So what you see here are children who should receive Sunbucks automatically if they are participating in the SNAP program, so food stamps, TANF for cash assistance, or income-based HCCCS, so the Medicaid program. That's for folks with incomes below 185% of the federal poverty level. Additionally, children should receive Sunbucks automatically if they're in foster care or identified at their school as homeless in the migrant education program or a runaway student. And then if their family has completed and were approved for free or reduced price school meals through the free or reduced price meal application, and this is in settings where they're non-provision schools, traditional pricing schools. So that's the group of kids that qualify automatically and would receive the program automatically. But there are many students whose household income fits within the program guidelines, so under 185% of the federal poverty level, but aren't participating in any of these programs, and they're still eligible for this program. This is particularly true in special provision schools or CEP schools. And this is particularly the group that we want to work extra hard to inform about the program and make sure they're connected. So we're going to go into a little bit more on that. So thinking about yourself, your setting, and asking the question, I asked this question of myself, will my students need to sign up for Sunbucks or will they get it automatically? So here's a little graphic. You just so you know, later on, we're going to walk through different materials we have available. And this is pulled from one of those materials that's aimed at helping school staff know about Sunbucks and kind of generally how it works. So really divide this up by two different settings. If you're in a special provision school or a CEP setting, or if you're in a non-provision school. So if you're in a special provision school, what you'll see here is that some eligible families won't be automatically enrolled, so they may need to sign up. And families need to apply for Sunbucks if they are not in a situation where they're kind of identified in a particular way, their children are, or that they're not receiving some of those programs we mentioned. So that's the group of people that we want to encourage to apply if they believe that they would like this program and fit within the income guidelines. And I want to flag here that last summer, a big change from this year is that many students were automatically enrolled through their alternative income form that's often used at special provision schools. And this has changed for 2025. Those forms are no longer able to be used to automatically qualify students, so these students need to apply. So wanted to name that because that is a change for reaching these folks. And then in non-provision schools, you'll see here, most eligible families will be automatically enrolled, so they don't need to apply. So in those settings, the majority of kids, the vast majority who are eligible really will get the program automatically. So that's kind of the bigger picture eligibility considerations we wanted to flag. And let me pass it to Elise.
Hi all, I'm a colleague of Chloe's, also in No Kid Hungry's Center for Best Practices on the program innovation team, and I'm excited to be here with you all today. So thank you for joining us. And so I'll kind of keep going here. So families wonderfully can check their eligibility and if they need to apply for each child using a screener that ADE has up on their website. And you can see the links. There's a link for the English one and the Spanish one. And I also just want to flag for you that Google Translate is embedded for families who speak other languages. Like you can translate it to nearly any language you can think of. So if you have a large population that is non-English, non-Spanish speaking, you can still direct them to this tool, which is fantastic. And this eligibility checker is linked to in all the materials that we're going to share today. And I'm going to exit this screen. I'm just going to like take you there for 1 second. Sorry, 1 second. And just for those of you that haven't seen this tool, I just wanted to flag a couple of things because there are a couple spots where someone could potentially get tripped up, and we want to make sure that people get through the screener as accurately and easily as possible to then get ultimately to the application if it is needed in their case. And this is most important for folks in special provision schools. So just in this first question, is your child enrolled in NSLP or SBP school? If you are communicating from a CEP school, you can clarify, yes, your child is enrolled in there. And then later on, they can kind of like look it up, but some parents could potentially get a little bit tripped up there. And then they ask if you're participating in one of those programs that Chloe just outlined, that you would get it automatically. But if you say no to that, it then asks, how did your child receive free or reduced meals? And you can clarify that at your school, they should select all students receive free lunch or free breakfast. And we want to ensure that you aren't getting questions. I'm just going to come back to the slideshow now. We want to make sure that you're not getting these questions from families. So we included language in some of our family-facing resources for special provision schools that I'll show you at the end, like in an email for folks, in a flyer you can send out, so that families can know this and can just really quickly get through this eligibility screener. And so then if they go through the screener, either they'll find out they're not eligible, or they will get it automatically, hopefully. And then some folks will need to apply. Families must apply by August 5th. Again, they can access it through the screener. And if a family needs it, AD will also be adding a paper application in English and Spanish to their website soon. So you can kind of go to their Sunbucks page there. And then we just wanted to flag in terms of the application that families need to submit all the required fields. And then there are other pieces of information that the application asks for, which can definitely help the state process and applications faster. And it's great if families are able to provide every bit of information. But if someone doesn't have one of the pieces of information or feels uncomfortable submitting that, that's okay. And they can still submit an application with just those required fields. And so then what has changed in 2025? Chloe mentioned this, but for all the people in the back, alternative income forms can no longer be used. They were used last year to kind of automatically enroll kids in Arizona. And so those families might be expecting once again to get the benefit automatically. So this year, especially as that kind of transition happens, it's really important to get this critical message to those families. Otherwise, they will miss out on summer EBT this summer. And I think throwing it back to Chloe now.
Yeah, so that's a lot of information, but we also wanted to kind of hit the critical things that can be really helpful for being able to feel more confident in talking about the Sunbucks program. But we want to let you know kind of how you can, the main goals, depending on the setting you're in terms of what we want to really get in front of families. So in non-provision traditional pricing schools, we really want to encourage you to focus on awareness for families. So what we know is that very few kids in these settings will need to apply. The vast majority will be participating in one of the programs mentioned or would be qualifying automatically through the free and reduced price school meal forms, which is really great news. It makes it an easy to participate program for families with children. So I think it's important here to focus on awareness. You can help answer questions about what the benefit is and how they'll receive it, explain what it is so they don't have to worry about receiving it automatically. I think that's a really big one. What we know from experiences across the country and is true in Arizona is that sometimes these cards show up and folks don't realize that they're qualifying automatically. And that can be a bit disconcerting. What's this for? What does this have to do? And so I think being able to get out in front of that and raise that awareness through a trusted avenue like schools can really help encourage people both to not be afraid of that and also to, consider it as something that's there to support them and their family during the summer. And I think, of course, making sure people know how to use the benefits. And we'll have some in the questions that you may get some answers to things that may come up around using it. So I do want to say that I think in particular for some communities right now, having something show up automatically that they weren't expecting may be a little worrisome. So we really want to get out ahead of that and help people understand that this is a positive thing and encourage that connection. So then if you're in special provision or CEP schools, really what we want to encourage for families is to focus on action. So in those settings, there are a group of students who will need to apply, sometimes a larger group of students, and it can be complicated for families to understand the intricacies of this program. I mean, it's complicated for me to understand it, and I've been working on this program for a number of years. So what we can do is make it simple by focusing on a key message. This program exists. It's easy to check your eligibility through the great screener created by ADE and to apply. And then what I think schools can do is help answer questions and how to check eligibility and use that screener, how to apply, and how to use benefits once you do apply and are approved. So that is one of the main things we'd love to see happen in these settings. we're hoping to distill the things that are really critical to each setting. Yeah, Elise.
Thanks, Chloe. Okay.
Mhm.
So I'm not going to go through all this, but just wanted to voice over a few questions that you might get from families so that you feel comfortable answering some of these. And I will flag that a lot of this is pulled from one of the resources that I'll show you is a school staff info sheet that is kind of like hopefully a one-stop shop for people who just need to that are school-based and want to understand the program, and you'll find a lot of this there. But just to pull out a few things, questions we think you might get. One is, how will we get our Sunbucks benefits? Chloe talked about this already. It kind of depends whether you're a SNAP or TANF participant or not, and whether you participated last year or not. But a note that families will need to repin their card this year, and there's some information on how to do that. So that might kind of trip people up, and in case they come with you to you with questions about that. And just to kind of talk through, why did I get Sunbucks for one of my child and not all of my children? There's not one single answer to this. The short answer is to encourage them to walk through the eligibility screener for each of their children. It could be that one of their kids is not in a special provision school and they filled out a free and reduced form for them and they got it automatically for that child, but their other child is in a special provision school, or maybe not all their children are school aged, etc. So there could be different reasons why. And on this slide, just some notes on activating their card if they're having trouble there, who to call, and that families should hold on to if they are getting one of those new 2025 Sunbucks cards, or if they have Arizona EBT card that they got new last year, to hold on to those for next year and make it easy to receive their benefits if they're once again eligible. Let's see. Okay, and a quick note on summer meals and Sunbucks. So the summer food service program and Sunbucks work together to help families who need extra support for food. When you're talking to families or creating resources, it's important to let them know about all their options, and we think there's a great co-messaging opportunity here. We've already created some social media collateral to help you do this. So I'll show you like some of our suggested social media posts, and we have one about like summer meals and Sunbucks, kind of taking advantage of both of those programs. But also if you see opportunities as you are offering summer meals to check in with folks and let folks know about Sunbucks, we think that's a wonderful opportunity. And now I'm going to change gears a little bit and talk through a few of the resources, and I'll at the end kind of show you the website where you can access them. So I just want to kind of call your attention to a few different pieces. One is a school staff Sunbucks fact sheet that is for folks in Arizona. So we encourage you to share this with staff at your district or your school who can help spread the word, and even maybe at the nearby districts and schools, folks who aren't on the webinar today but would be interested in this. We know that there was some confusion around the program last summer, both among school staff and certainly among families. And this summer, there's a real opportunity to build awareness and build comfort with the program. So who can you share this with? Anyone that you got questions about Sunbucks from last year, or anyone that regularly gets questions from families. I would really encourage all of you to download and share this fact sheet with them. You can just send it to them via email so that they are familiar with the basics. And on the website, we have some suggestions about, who are people that you might want to get those to. We created a set of social media images with suggested captions. I'll kind of show you where those are, but there's like images that you can cut and paste with some suggested text. And then for our folks in special provision schools, in no way are we expecting you to use all this, but we know that schools have different ways that they prefer to communicate with their families. So we kind of created a suite of options specifically for this, for special provision schools, that includes email, text, robocall language, and a take-home flyer that could be printed or it could be shared digitally, or could be like sent home with summer meals or anything. Because that's going to be like the big population of folks that needs to apply. And before I kind of show you all of these, this is on the website that I'll take you to in a moment, but just wanted to talk through kind of a picture of timing and the when and why here. So we're trying to leverage the school calendar, and we're encouraging a push, a kind of communications push around this before school ends to build awareness. And then especially in special provision schools, a push around back to school time before the application closes, which in Arizona is August 5th. So, and by this time, families will know if they've received the benefit automatically or not, and it'll kind of like be maybe more apparent to them. And it's a great time to get this like last chance messaging. So in no way am I expecting you to kind of use all of these tools. But if you want to do just one thing, I would encourage sending out, either an email or one of the social media posts before school wraps up this year. If you want to do just two things around this, I would encourage that, getting a word out, message up before the end of school, and then a kind of don't miss out back to school message before that application closes on August 5th. And if you are someone that wants like a steady drumbeat of communications about this, and you're looking to share stuff on social media, you can use all of this. And before I take you to a website, I also just wanted, I wanted to call out also a couple of great resources from ADE. The first one here is a flyer about the eligibility screener that they have up that might be relevant for your setting. So just wanted to point to that as well. And then before we wrap up and move to questions, so we will be also following up with an email, but I really quickly wanted to take you to the website where these resources are living. Hopefully you can still see this. So I guess, Chloe, if you want to put also the link in the chat, you can. But just wanted to really quickly walk you through. This is kind of an Arizona School Guide to Sunbucks. And on here you will find, this is kind of the overview page, and it covers some of the stuff that we just talked about. And at the bottom here, you'll see that timeline that I just mentioned. And then here is a school staff sheet that you can download. And you'll see here a list of some of our suggestions of people that might want to just have a chance to take a look through this and familiarize themselves with the program. In the social media content tab, you will see you can download both English and Spanish social media images there. And then we put here in both English and Spanish like suggested captions. Obviously, you can kind of tweak them to make, for what feels right for you. But just to make it an easy copy and paste, we've prepared those. And you can kind of pick the ones that feel right for you. And then lastly, in this CEP and Special Provision Schools tab are the other materials that we created. So depending on what kind of communications platforms you most like to use with families, there, again, in English and Spanish are a couple of messages around, one for now, kind of before school ends, around awareness and for those special provision settings that need to apply. One around welcome back to school time, a take-home flyer that you can download, and then a robocall script and text message content. With that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And I think that we are ready for Q&A, unless there's anything that Chloe or David want to add.
That was amazing, Elise and Chloe. Thank you so much. Just want to highlight that the translations in Spanish, really want to push those out, have them out in multiple languages, and love that you all included that on your website, and really want to make this information as accessible as possible to families in Arizona. Thank you.
Thanks, David. Well, really, right now, we just want to open up for questions or clarification. If anyone has, feel free to put things in the chat, in the Q&A, or I'm not sure if people can come off mute. So Ashley, let me know if that's the case. But yeah, we'd love to hear them. Thanks, Brooke, for this question. So the question is, does school age mean preschoolers will not receive it? So I think it's a really good question. I know it's covered a little bit in the eligibility screener as well from ADE. It sort of depends on the setting. If there's a preschooler is in a Head Start setting and that Head Start setting is connected and participates in the NSLP program, then yeah, they would be eligible for this program. But there's plenty of preschoolers who are in private settings or not in situations where their school does the NSLP program, so they wouldn't be eligible, is kind of the top line higher answer there. David and Ashley, if there's anything you all want to add with Arizona specific context there too, let me know. Please add. I see Nicole's question about sunbucks can be doubled up as well. Correct. Let me defer that to the Arizona team. I think it sometimes depends state by state.
I'll let Ashley answer that, or we can ask that from AD and do follow-ups.
Okay, Mary Jo, I see your question. If a student was directly certified last year, but not showing up now with ADE, will they automatically receive a Sunbucks card? Great question. Okay, so I want to pause there. Ashley, I'm sorry you can't unmute. Ashley wrote in the chat that yes, summer Sunbucks benefits can be used at double up sites. So that's a great connection point to make for families can extend those benefits. So Mary Jo, I feel like this might be a specific question and it could be one to elevate to ADE as well. So we can definitely facilitate that. But I would say that it might be that in this situation that students individual situation changed. So maybe not automatically eligible this year, but potentially eligible via application. Definitely think the eligibility checker can be helpful now. It could be helpful in their situation, potentially. And also, hopefully, Ashley, I think you're able to unmute now. So if there's anything you want to add, go for it.
I am, and thank you. Sorry for the confusion. No, I think everything has been covered, and I'm just grateful for this group, this team, and the double up the opportunity to use Sunbucks at double up sites. I know, as you said, not all states do that, and we have a lot of our ADE partners on the call, so just very grateful for that.
Hey, Brooke, great question. Yes, families will start to receive Sunbucks benefits in May. And so that's very exciting. So I think with that flag, just wanting everyone to know that because letters will start to be received, so notification letters and cards will start to go out, or benefits will start to come out to folks automatically eligible. I think you all will start hearing more questions and more things coming up there. So it's a really good flag to know in terms of awareness for what to expect. And then Taylor, I see, is there a way to see when or if a family has received a card on our end? Oh, great question. I might defer to other folks there about answering this question. I think there would be, you have access to information about those children that are kind of directly certified, or maybe you were the ones who helped submit the data, you might have a sense of if someone would get that automatically, but not necessarily when they're going to get the card on their end. I know the FAQs on the Arizona website are really helpful for giving some more specifics around when benefits will start to show up and cards start to show up. Ashley and David, anything else you'd add there?
No, I don't.
Oh, go ahead.
Actually.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I'm terrible with technology. Now you can't see my face, but I am here. And as far as I know, there's um, just reading the chat as well. There's no way for anyone other than the card holder, which is the student, but also their families, to see that information. So, but I do know ADE is on the call, and if they have the information, maybe they can put that in the chat. But yeah, I think because it's a benefit and it goes directly to an individual or a household, that's the only person that would have those eyes on that, unfortunately.
Okay, I'm going to lift up a few other questions that came in. So Alicia asks, for CEP settings, when will our students be receiving the benefits? Great question. I think it depends on how a student qualifies. So if they are kind of receiving a program like SNAP, versus if they apply and then their application needs to get processed and approved, and then benefits would go out then. So I think there'll be kind of a range of timeframes there. Ashley or David, anything else you want to add there?
That was good. Jessica just put in the chat. They can share for most students who are active on SNAP cases. Today was the first issuance where many SNAP households will now see the benefit on their EBT card.
Amazing. And way to go, ADE team. That's so much work to do that. And also great timing with this webinar. So I just want to lift up what Sybil shared, which is that well, some bucks can require an application depending on someone's situation, or may have some limitation on ages. Summer meals are open to all kids, 0 to 18. That's great. This is why it's great for these programs to work together to support kids in the summer. And then Brooke asked a question around, what is the time frame for eligibility? Just any time, July 1, 2024 through June 30th, 2025. Great question. I'm gonna Ashley and David, I kind of want to defer to you all on that one if that feels good, or ADE folks, if you want to add in an answer there, that would be lovely.
I'm not sure I understand the question. So, meaning, does the child have to be enrolled in school during those dates?
Brooke, if there's any more we can know there on what you're asking for, is it like their age, being within the right age frame in that time period, or enrolled in school? That would help so we can get that answer there. And then seeing another question on, should we advise parents to check their EBT card? And I think it connects to this next part, if they're only have free and reduced for part of the year, for instance. Yeah, it's a great question. So folks can qualify at whatever point in the year. So if they were qualified by application for free and reduced school meal as a child was at some point during this school year, then they are eligible for this program. Just depends on if the manner in which they might receive benefits. So if someone doesn't have an EBT card, then they'll get that new Sunbucks card. And especially if they were newly eligible or if they got it last year, potentially those benefits will arrive in that way. Okay. And Mary Jo, it sounds like maybe that answered your question. I see that in there. Brooke, so if at any point the student met eligibility, they should expect to receive the benefit. It's a great question. I think that the short answer would be yes. And then thank you, Jessica, for answer in the chat there, which is really great. Okay, and then Fernanda, on their EBT card deposit, is it shown as Sunbucks funds? How can families differentiate Sunbucks funds from the monthly ones? Really great question. To be honest, it might not look different from the family perspective if you're having that on your EBT card. So that can be part of the reason to raise awareness and why we put that out there, because people may not even realize it's coming on there. But of course, if you see more funds come on, you might be like, uh-oh, I did something wrong, or I'm getting an overpayment. I have to do something. So that can also be really important for raising awareness so folks aren't worried about something being wrong.
I think like this is a little overly simplistic, but Fernanda, like in response to your question, I think that like flagging this $120 as that would be different from the amount that they would, be getting each month for SNAP is, I think, just like another kind of way for folks to recognize, okay, this is I can connect these dots, and I know this is the benefit that I heard about from school. They said that I might get this.
Yeah, I'll also add to Fernanda's question, the way the benefits get pulled from the card, so to speak. So when a person goes to the store and purchases groceries, that $120 will pull first because it has a shorter time frame that a person is able to use it. So in that way, it is kind of already set up within the system for the person to use the benefits that expire first, and then the rest of their SNAP benefits for that month or whatever they have on their balance next. So there is that already embedded in the system, but that's a good point that people may not know what it is, why it's there, and that's why we're trying to do this outreach.
When you give it just like 30 more seconds, a little bit longer, just to see if any additional questions come in. These have been great questions. Thank you all so much for asking them to help add clarification here. So I'm gonna give just pause before we, Patricia, that's the great question around the deadline to spend Sunbucks. So when Sunbucks are issued on a card, once they're issued, there are 4 months or 122 days to spend those Sunbucks benefits before they expire, which can feel really different if you've experienced the SNAP program before. So that is an important thing to flag for folks. And just a plug for one of the social media posts, the last one on there, number 5, is about that expungement deadline and just encouraging people to use their benefits before they expire. Yeah, Taylor, great point in there. So I think if you have a family with, where there's multiple children, and so you're getting 120 for each of the child, if all of their children are eligible, yeah, that amount might not look that different than maybe a monthly SNAP amount. So it is helpful to both raise that awareness and also, as Ashley said, kind of help with that understanding of how benefits would be spent or go out. And I think the really great information from ADE around benefits being distributed starting today and showing up on cards can be great, because it might be a different day of the month than people are getting their SNAP benefits. So that can be a flag too. Yeah. Brooke, great question. So once we do our upload of students who qualify to the state, we've provided everything we need to, yes. So I think this is a great question for the ADE folks. So we'll make sure either folks can answer on here or to make sure that's elevated to them. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, Brooke, I think part of our hope with some of these resources and information is to be able to answer some questions. And also, you'll see on the fact sheet, there's a couple of different phone numbers to refer people to for different needs. Like if a need is related to the EBT card and pinning or activating versus if someone has kind of a general customer service question. And yes, and I think the eligibility screener will be helpful too. Well, you asked great questions, Brick. We were so grateful. Well, I'll say this. This is recorded. We're going to upload the recording to the same webpage where the outreach materials will be. And then there'll be a follow-up email sent out to everyone here today, so you can get all of the links and those pieces. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you to the Arizona Food Bank Network team. Thank you to ADE and all of you for all you're going to do to help get the word out about Sunbucks. So thanks all.
Much.
Thank you.